Ugly Season has quickly become the highest-rated horror film of 2025, earning praise as a dark, disturbing reimagining of a classic fairy tale. This is not the Cinderella story you grew up with. This is a chilling, twisted version meant for adults, exploring vanity, obsession, and the horrifying cost of beauty. The film follows Wei Wei, an ordinary young woman with a plain appearance. Rough skin, a sagging nose, and wide, tired eyes. Like many girls her age, she dreams of marrying a handsome nobleman and living a better life. But unlike others, Wei Wei chooses a path far more extreme and far more cruel to make that dream come true. Wei Wei was born into a wealthy family, but her life took a dark turn after her father's death. Her mother, Wei Ma, desperate to maintain their status, moved Wei Wei and her sister Nini to the capital city and hastily married an aging nobleman, Ai Boju, who was over 70 years old. But tragedy struck on the wedding night. Ai Boju died suddenly of a stroke in his own manner. His daughter, Ella, was shattered by the loss and locked herself away in grief. Trying to be kind, Wei Wei went to comfort Ella, only to be cruelly mocked and humiliated. Ella accused Wei Wei and her mother of being low-born opportunists who had no right to live in the manor. It was in that moment that Wei Wei learned the terrible truth. Ai Boju had been deeply in debt, and the only reason he married Wei Ma was because of the dowry she had promised. A dowry that never existed. The marriage had been a desperate lie. Wei Wei wanted to tell her mother everything and leave before it was too late. But before they could escape, Ai Boju's creditors arrived, seizing nearly all of his land and wealth. The family was left with nothing but the decaying old manor, and the growing resentment between Wei Wei and Ella. This is where Wei Wei's descent begins. Her obsession with beauty, status, and revenge leads her into a nightmarish transformation. One that blurs the line between a dark fairy tale and a psychological horror story. In this beautiful fairy tale world, ordinary women want to change their fate. The only way out is to marry into a rich family. But Wei Wei's mother is already in her middle age. It's not easy for her to get married again. Wei Wei could only comfort her mother that she would choose to marry a rich man, then take her and her sister to live a rich life again. Unexpectedly, Wei Wei, who was in a low mood, listened to her daughter's comfort. Not only did she not feel at ease, but she also ridiculed and asked Wei Wei, "Who do you want to marry? The Prince of Ganjin? Stop daydreaming. Please take a good look in the mirror first." Turns out that Wei Wei is just like other city girls in this country. They are all crazy in love with the king's only son. They dream of becoming a queen one day. But what's different from other girls is that Wei Wei is in love with the prince not because he is the king's son, but because he has read the prince's poems and has long been conquered by the charm of it. In Wei Wei's imagination, the prince is a perfect man with talent and beauty. This moment, in the face of his mother's words and reminders, Wei Wei's heart is not in a good mood. When he returned to his room, he couldn't help but look in the mirror. Indeed, the girl in the mirror has rough skin, her nose is sagging, her teeth are frizzy, and she is wearing a clumsy tooth set. Her figure is also slightly swollen. Just when Wei Wei was frowning in front of the mirror, a special visitor came to the manor. This person is the surname of Wang Gong. Turns out that the Prince of Ganjin will hold a court dance on the night of the full moon 4 months later. All the noble girls in the whole capital can sign up for the dance. At that time, the prince will choose a talented princess from these girls. Wei Wei, as the stepdaughter of Ai Boju, is also qualified to sign up for the dance. Her sister Nini is too young to get this opportunity. Although Wei Wei has no confidence in her appearance, she does not want to give up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Therefore, she finally submitted an application for registration. The one who signed up with her was Ai La, the biological daughter of Ai Boju. However, submitting an application for registration does not mean that you can attend the dance. All registrants have to pass strict training and examinations. In order to allow her daughter to pass the preliminary examinations, Wei's mother took her to a plastic surgery hospital. After the doctor fully understood Wei Wei's appearance, he customized a beautification plan for her. The first step is to remove the tooth set. After removing the tooth set, Wei Wei was surprised to find that after many years of correction, her teeth had become really strange. The second step of beautification is to reconstruct a high nose. To do this, the doctor found a hammer and a chisel. Without Wei Wei's reaction, her body was forcibly fixed on the operating table by the nurse. The doctor immediately used the chisel to block Wei Wei's nose. Then he hit her hard with the hammer. He hit her nose hard. Wei Wei suddenly made a loud scream. Next to her is her sister Nini, who is even more pale and afraid to look at her. Without Wei Wei's reaction, her body was forcibly fixed on the operating table by the nurse. The doctor immediately used the chisel to block Wei Wei's nose. Then he hit her hard with the hammer. He hit her nose hard. Wei Wei suddenly made a loud scream. Next to her is her sister Nini, who is even more pale and afraid to look at her. Wei Wei's mother showed a satisfied smile. In the next time, Wei Wei needs to wear a nose bridge simulator to make sure that the nose after reconstruction is exquisite. During the correction of the nose bridge, Wei Wei and her sister Ella and dozens of other girls of the same age joined a training class organized by the Wang family. Everyone here specializes in dancing and court etiquette training. Wei Wei, whose appearance is not outstanding, with a strange nose bridge simulator, among these young and beautiful girls, is like a stone mixed into a pile of jade, which looks extremely slippery. Because of this, other girls in the training class often deliberately exclude Wei Wei. Even the dance teacher looked at her eyes with doubt, and soon adjusted her from the first row of the dance team to the last row. It's like looking at her more and having nightmares at night. Ella, who was born with a strong will, was arranged to the first row of the dance team and was highly recognized by the dance teacher. The teacher and the classmates' cold eyes made Wei Wei feel wronged and had nowhere to speak. What's even more difficult is that Wei's mother only gave him a glass of lemon water every night as a dinner. The purpose, of course, is to reduce his weight quickly. Every night, Wei Wei will be tormented by hunger. After a month of such a life, Wei Wei came to the first assessment. This assessment will eliminate half of the students in the training class. Surprisingly, Wei Wei was suspected of passing and became the last girl to pass the assessment. This result gave Wei Wei great encouragement. In a public mockery of the other party, Wei Wei inadvertently learned that she could pass the first assessment not by force, but by the result of her mother, Wei's mother, secretly bribing the examiner. Wei Wei was deeply hit after learning the truth. She felt that she had no hope at all to get out of it, let alone be hit by the prince. But what surprised Wei Wei was that the etiquette teacher in the training class was very optimistic about her. In the eyes of the etiquette teacher, Wei Wei was able to endure the pain of her nose being smashed in order to become beautiful. The courage and patience of this extraordinary person is the key to success. Therefore, the etiquette teacher firmly believes that Wei Wei will be the last winner and become the daughter-in-law of the royal family. In order to give Wei Wei firm confidence, the etiquette teacher secretly gave her an insect repellent and a bottle of insect repellent. It is said that as long as she takes this insect repellent, Wei Wei's body will become thinner, because the insect will grow slowly in her body and swallow the excess food in her stomach. So, as long as she swallows the insect repellent, Wei Wei does not need to endure the pain of fasting. After the body is satisfied, she only needs to take the insect repellent again to kill the parasites in her body. Even if it is a successful end of the diet, such a frightening diet method makes Wei Wei feel unbearable. She didn't dare to swallow the insect repellent right away, but carefully collected it. The next day was the rest day of the training class. Wei Wei, who rarely relaxed, came to a forest to relax with her sister Nini riding a horse. During this period, Wei Wei told Nini the diet method of the etiquette teacher and planned to swallow the insect repellent as soon as possible. Nini heard this and said strongly against it. She originally thought that it was extremely stupid for her sister to endure the pain and break her nose for a man who had never met before. Now, in order to lose weight, Wei Wei has to swallow the disgusting insect repellent, which makes it more difficult for Nini to understand. But Wei Wei at this time is already trapped in the fantasy of love. She can't listen to her sister's advice at all. Nini saw that her sister was so stubborn and left the forest alone. Wei Wei stayed alone in the forest for a long time. After a lot of entanglement, she still held her head and swallowed the insect repellent into her stomach. After swallowing the insect repellent, Wei Wei was in a complicated mood and was ready to turn around to find her sister. Judging from the content of the conversation, the man was the current prince and his two followers. Wei Wei quietly walked forward, hid behind the giant stone, and peeped at the lover. In the stone phoenix, the prince was born with a beautiful and handsome face. It's just that the other party is talking to the follower about Xia Lu's marriage. This is very different from the noble and elegant prince image that Wei Wei imagines. But Wei Wei didn't think much. Her attention was all focused on the prince's handsome face. She couldn't care less about his rough character. The two followers of the prince soon discovered Wei Wei's figure. After seeing Wei Wei's face clearly, they immediately took her as the object of ridicule and incited the prince to flirt with Wei Wei on the spot. Who knew that the prince looked at Wei Wei and said that he had no interest in ugly women. At this moment, Wei Wei's self-esteem was greatly damaged. She was ashamed and ran away from the scene. After escaping the sight of the three, Wei Wei stopped again and hid in the dark, eating and peeping at the prince. Until it dawned, the prince left the forest in one fell swoop, and she came back to the manor in a horse. As a result, she accidentally ran into the proud stepsister Ella, who was smoking in the stable, and the young horseman in the manor. It turned out that Ella and the horseman were a secret couple. Although they loved each other, Ella did not plan to marry the horseman. Ever since her father passed away and her stepmother took over the family business, Ella gradually learned about the financial situation in the family and her own situation. Her father, Ai Boju, has been an honest man and has not been buried. Ella swore in front of her father's body that she would marry the prince, restore the glory of the Boju manor, and bury her father in a grand manner. Tonight's secret marriage was the last farewell between Ella and the horseman, who knew that the scene of their reconciliation was cut short by Wei Wei. Wei Wei immediately told this to her mother, Wei Ma. Wei Ma took the opportunity to sweep the horseman out of the house and then to break the door. She ordered Ella not to go to the place where the royal dance was held and to do some rough chores in her old woman's clothes in her soft home. Wei Wei, who had been jealous of Ella, was very satisfied with her mother's treatment. Her mood also turned from worry to joy, and her appetite increased. She even often sneaked into the kitchen to eat sweets. At the same time, the ovary in her belly was incubating. Just 2 months later, because the ovary absorbed a large amount of food in her belly, Wei Wei's figure quickly slimmed down, and her nose shape was also successful. When Wei Ma took the nose-shaping tool, Wei Wei suddenly became a person who was so beautiful that she looked at her delicate figure and beautiful face in the mirror. Wei Wei felt that the whole person was reborn, just like Ella, who had become a person. The work of turning her head and face all day made her a completely gray girl. The glory of the past no longer exists. Unexpectedly, in just 2 months, her image and Wei Wei's image were completely different. But Wei Wei was not at ease. In order to pursue the ultimate beauty, she came to the plastic surgery hospital again and asked the doctor to further optimize her appearance. Under the doctor's advice, Wei Wei decided to plant a curled, dense fake eyelash. However, the terrible degree of this operation was beyond her imagination. When the nurse held a fishing hook-like pin, she forced it into her eyes, and Wei Wei suddenly realized that the so-called heavy eyelash was actually a hard fishing line to sew the fake eyelash on the eyelids.